Kia koutou. Ko Emily aho, māku te karakia timatanga. Manawa mai te mauri nuku, manawa mai te mauri rangi. Ko te mauri kei a tātou, he mauri tipua, ka pakaru mai te pō, tau mai te mauri, homie, huie, tāikie. Embrace the energy from the earth, embrace the energy from the sky. The energy we have gathered is strong and destroys the darkness. Come, great energy, join, gather, it is done. I'll hand to you, Michelle.
Kia ora. Thank you, Emily, for our karakia. Hello and welcome, everybody. So, ko Michelle Gallagher, toka wingua. I'm the Program Support for the Centre for Social Impact, and welcoming you here today for our session. Just going to do a little bit of admin right at the top. So today, our free series of webinars is brought to you by the Centre for Social Impact and with support from Foundation North. Foundation North are always interested to see who of their grantees are coming along. So I'm just about to launch a wee poll, which you should see pop up there. If you'd be happy to vote in that, that would be really helpful. Thank you. Oh, fabulous. You're quick off the mark, everybody. And while you're doing that, we thought today we might frame our session by sharing a little bit of the whakapapa of Te Pūaha. So you've been coming along to these Te Pūaha talks. And, I'm just going to close out of that. Beautiful. So Te Pūaha is, we call it Te Pūaha o Te Ako, and that is our knowledge hub and sharing platform within the Centre for Social Impact. So if we look at the meaning of the word, Te Pūaha is actually a metaphor. It means the estuary. So it's the place where the salt water meets the fresh water. It would be the place where our new life is produced, and it would be nurturing whānau and hapu and iwi, and they would feed and sustain themselves from there. Then the ohi ako part is our guiding behaviours. It's how we're being open, our sharing, and our striving for future learning. So we use this to talk about our knowledge hub and the place where we share information inside of CSI. And these resources you're going to hear today all fit within that. So we thought it was nice to kind of give you a little bit of a grounding of where that word comes from and what it is. So I hope that was interesting for you. And I'd like to hand back to Emily and Kathryn to introduce themselves and our session. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Michelle. Kia ora koutou, ko Emily Garden toku ingoa. I tupu ake o ki te puru haureki I te rohi a iwi o Ngāti Maru. No kamru mai aira o ku tupuna, kei watakari tamaki makaurau aho I noho ana I te rohi o iwi te kawerau maki, kei Centre of Social Impact aho I mahi ana. Kia ora, I'm Emily Garden. I'm Pākehā, and I hail from a small but very beautiful place called Te Puru on the west coast of the Coromandel Peninsula. And I'm lucky enough now to live in an equally lovely place in the beautiful Waitakere Ranges of Tāmaki. My background is in qualitative social research and evaluation, and also information design and graphic design. And I've got the great privilege of being an associate here at the Centre of Social Impact. And it's lovely to have you all join us today. I'm looking forward to sharing these resources. Kia ora, I'll pass the rākau to Kathryn.
Kia ora, Emily. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kathryn toku ingoa, no Czech Republic me Ingarangi o ku tipuna, no Tamaki Makaurau ahau, ko Kuao Tunu toku kāinga, I te rohi a iwi a Ngāti Hei. No reira, tēnā koutou katoa. I'm Kathryn. I'm originally from Auckland, and I'm now living at Kuatunu on the east coast of the Coromandel Peninsula. My background is in community psychology and evaluation research, and I've been an associate at the Centre for Social Impact for about 8 years. So we're just going to move into the presentation now. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us at this session where Emily and I are going to introduce you to 3 new resources that we've produced through Te Pūaha. So firstly, these wouldn't have been possible without the input from community groups who provided us with the information about the issues and topics that you're currently grappling with. We've gathered this information via a survey through Te Pūaha of all people that have been attending the talks over the last couple of years. So we heard that they want more information and support about a range of topics, which we've aimed to cover in these resources that we're introducing in this session. So these topics included things like funding sources, titiriti o waitangi, evaluation and impact, strategy development, community engagement, and more. So we then tested these topics in a series of interviews, which confirmed that they are relevant, and we got feedback on what's important to make sure that these resources are easy to access and relevant and user-friendly. So these resources that Emily and I have produced are now live on the Te Pūaha website. We're going to be monitoring their use and keeping them up to date and including new resources. And to do this, we'll be engaging with you and asking for feedback. So after we've introduced these resources at the end of the session, it would be great to hear from you, see if there's anything we've missed or if there's something else that you think should be included. And we're going to continue to do this via the website, where we're going to have some short feedback survey, and as well as future surveys through Te Pūaha. So Emily and I are now going to take you through the resources. We're going to introduce them and quickly take you through the content. So these are a complementary set of resources. They can either be used as standalone resources, or they can be viewed as building blocks for community groups that are getting started on their journey. So I'm going to hand over to Emily, who's going to introduce us to the funding guide.
Kia ora, Kathryn. So the first resource we're highlighting today is the funding guide. And the funding guide was developed, as Kathryn said, based on feedback from our Te Pūaha Talks survey late last year, which highlighted the need for resources tailored to organisations new to grant seeking. Respondents shared that they sought guidance on finding support and preparing strong applications. And in our exploratory discussions, many grant seekers mentioned that the funding landscape, with its varied approaches and terminology, can be challenging to navigate. This guide aims to simplify the process by offering an introductory overview in plain language. And I want to start by acknowledging those who contributed their thoughts and insights through the development process, both through the survey and our exploratory discussions with grantees. And this resource would not have been possible without your input. This is the first page of the guide and what you see when you open the resource on the CSI webpage. And the various sections that make up the guide are visible down the left there. The guide begins with an introductory section called You Are Ready for Funding, which offers advice on finding the right funder for your organisation. Guidance includes starting by researching funders whose goals align with your work, reviewing their websites and strategies to ensure the priorities match your project needs. It's also important to find funders that offer the type of support that your organisation requires, whether short-term grants or long-term partnerships. And the following section provides a starting point for finding the right support. This next section introduces 8 key types of funders in Aotearoa. They're represented here by a graphic which illustrates their relative size in terms of approximate annual grant distribution, such as the 17 community foundations, which are represented by that small dark blue circle in the bottom left here, that collectively distribute around 4 million annually. Below the graphic, we provide descriptions of each type of funder, along with a table of examples, including information on their priority areas or communities, how they fund, and any exclusions, with links for further details. While this is not a comprehensive list, we do provide links to key databases for those wanting to search all available sources of funding. The next section is called Applying for Funding, a checklist. This section outlines the essential documents that funders typically request, such as your organisation's description, project plan, budget, and letters of support. By having these materials ready, you can streamline the application process and increase your chances of success. We also provide links to examples, templates, and other helpful resources. And this is a living document, and we welcome suggestions of other relevant materials to include here. Section 5 is called Helpful Tips, and it includes practical ideas for managing your funding efforts efficiently. Tips include setting up systems like a funding calendar to list funders and help track deadlines and application requirements. For example, we've included a great webinar for this area from Community Think to help you get started. And again, suggestions for further tips are very welcome. We certainly plan to include more videos and audio clips of both grantees and funders sharing advice and insights. This final section offers a glossary to clarify key funding and organisational terms. During discussions with grantees, many shared that the language around funding can be difficult to interpret. Divided into 3 sections, funder and granting terms, strategy, measurement and impact terms, and financial and business terms, this glossary explains concepts like contestable and non-contestable funds, along with impact, investment and match funding. Relevant links for further information and definitions are provided, and of course, welcome any further additions. Thank you. We hope you'll take the time to explore the guide and share it widely for those who find it relevant. Your feedback will help us keep the guide relevant and useful, so please let us know if there are any areas for improvement or additional resources we could include. I'll now pass the rākau to Kathryn to introduce the Core Skills Toolkit. Kia ora.
Thank you, Emily. The Core Skills Toolkit was developed in response to the survey results, which told us that people want more information and support around a range of topics. This resource introduces these topics, why they're important to new or small groups that are setting out on their journey, questions to ask when getting started, and links to a set of relevant resources and templates. This resource and the topics may change and evolve as we hear what's important and as new issues emerge for groups. For now, it's a start, and it would be great to hear your feedback at the end. So, by way of introduction to this resource, this is the first page on the website that introduces the topics covered. As with all the resources, it aims to be easy to provide, easy to navigate, and provide accessible information. I'm going to quickly show you the evaluation and monitoring section. We know this is a particular issue that many groups are facing at the moment, so it seems relevant to highlight this section. So if you go to the link for evaluation and measuring impact, this is what you'd see. And this is how all the sections are set out. There's a short introduction, why it's important, and questions to ask yourself when getting started. And then a short list of resources. The resources provided in each section include things like websites, webinars, templates where we've been able to find them, and reports. And they include a range of information. You can go as light or as deep into a topic as you want or need. So I want to acknowledge the organisations whose online resources are included in the resource lists. There are so many amazing resources out there. However, we've intentionally kept this list quite small so that it's not overwhelming. For this particular list of resources, we've included information about things like how to get started with evaluation, a couple of examples of evaluations, and if you want to go a bit deeper, there's more information about evaluation methodology. For all the topics, we'd love to hear your feedback about resources that you use or that you think other people might find useful. So I'm going to hand the rākau back to Emily to introduce the Capability Support Wheel.
Thanks, Kathryn. The Capability Support Wheel, which was launched in June of this year, was the first of the 3 resources to be developed. Some of you may already be familiar with it, and we're grateful to the organisations that have shared the resource widely within the sector, including Volunteering New Zealand, Volunteering New Plymouth, Te Whare Mahana, and the J.R. Mackenzie Trust. Capability development is the process of building knowledge, skills, instincts, abilities, and processes needed to perform tasks efficiently and achieve successful outcomes. In the community sector, it means creating the enabling conditions for organisations to deliver meaningful impact. The Capability Support Wheel serves as a navigational tool, guiding community organisations through a wide range of development resources. And as Kathryn said, there are so many incredible pieces out there. It connects users with publications, websites, courses, and organisations dedicated to building capabilities and driving social impact. And we deeply appreciate the content creators whose resources are highlighted within the wheel. The Capability Support Wheel is organised into 6 core categories that you can see at the centre of the wheel there. Vision, mission and strategy, governance and leadership, strategic relationships, internal operations and management, service delivery and impact, and resource development. Each category includes 3 areas of capability building practice. For example, in vision, mission and strategy, the areas of strategic planning, organisational planning, and systems and accountability. Te tiriti o Waitangi and climate action are key considerations for all capability building work in Aotearoa. Therefore, while the body of the wheel contains the 6 overarching areas I just mentioned, te tiriti and climate action are foundational elements that both run across all areas of capability building, development, but are also represented as structural components. So they sit central to the wheel as an inner sphere, and they cut through and across the 6 areas as an outer rim that encircles the areas of activity. Links are embedded in the wheel for easy navigation across the sections. So you can either access the wheel online through the CSI website or download your own copy. The first pages of the resource introduce the concept of capability development and outline the broad areas of support, along with the different modes of capability building that we've used to organise the content. I'll now share one section briefly to show you how we've organised the resources, but I encourage you to explore the wheel in your own time to see how it could support your needs. So exploring the internal operations and management section at the bottom of the wheel in orange, we've broken it down into the 3 key areas of operations, technology and information systems, financial management and legal, and HR, wellbeing and volunteer development. You can easily navigate to this section by clicking on the relevant internal section of the wheel, which will take you directly to that resource and tools available for these practices. So each section of the wheel is 3 pages long. We offer an overview of the 3 key practice areas alongside the core themes of te tiriti and climate action, followed by a table for each area, which contains the resource descriptions and links. So there are 5 tables in total, with the resources organised by 3 modes of capability development. The first is universal support, and we've defined these as free, widely accessible resources generally available online, such as toolkits and webinars. Targeted support are more specific, often paid resources like training. And then there's tailored support, which are even more customised, such as one-on-one services, such as consulting or mentoring. And we've used varying shades of colour in the tables to represent those different modes of development. So you can see universal support is a lighter colour, moving through to the darker for the tailored support. And there's a return to wheel button at the end of each section. So you can see that on the final page there to take you back to the start, to navigate to other sections of the wheel, or you can step through the document manually. Here's a closer look at the table for one subsection, which is operations, technology and information systems. So you can see we've included that brief description, which highlights the value of building capability in this area. And then every resource listing includes a brief summary and a link. We welcome your feedback and suggestions for improving the resource. If you have ideas for additional content or notice any links that need updating, please let us know. We are scheduled to update the wheel quarterly, so we will be ensuring that the links remain current, and we continue to enhance it with new and relevant information. So if you do download a copy, I encourage you to then come back 3-6 months later and download it again to make sure you've got those new additions that we'll be capturing. So that's it for the resources. Thank you. And I'll now pass to Kathryn for some feedback and discussion. Ngā mihi nui.
Thanks, Emily. So we've got a few minutes for any questions or feedback. There might be something that particularly resonated with you. If as you've been listening to this, or some specific feedback or gaps that you've already noted. So so either put your hand up or comment in the chat box.
Maybe I'll just read a little bit of feedback that's coming through while people put their thinking hats on or get confident. We had someone who said about the funding guide, brilliant, can already see how this is going to be useful for their community. Someone else said, oh, they were off distracted because they'd already clicked on some links and started reading further. Oh, and someone's asking, is the resource accessible? I'm wondering, Juliana, would you like to elaborate? Have you got some specific queries there about the formats that are published online now, so you can access them, but you might have an accessibility query?
Oh, kia ora, thank you. I'm just asking if the resource is available, like it is accessible for those who use a screen reader. Do you have like a New Zealand Sign Language version of it, or easy read for those who have learning disabilities? That's what I mean by accessible.
I'll speak to that. Kia ora, Juliana. Thank you for your question. I'd say they are not at this stage accessible beyond the I guess the standard ability to read the content online, but that is a really great comment for future development around ensuring that they are accessible. And it also brings to mind even some of the perhaps reversed out text that we've got of white text on darker backgrounds or so on, that we could probably look at improving the accessibility of. It would be, I wonder if you'll be open to me even asking you for some further
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to support. And I was, as you were talking about the wheel, I was thinking that maybe accessibility should also be throughout the whole process as well. So the mahi that we do as Access Matters Aotearoa is to advocate for accessibility and disability rights. And I think accessibility is a precondition to the fulfillment of any disability rights. So I'm really passionate about it and I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you. So I'll take your email address off the registration, and this is exactly the kind of feedback and input we really value. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? It's hugely valuable for us.
Just a huge mihi to you guys. This is a huge amount of work and has saved me probably a year of bringing all of this together. So really appreciate the work that's gone into it, and it is very, from where I'm sitting, very easy to follow and understand. So yeah, thank you. Just a massive thank you.
Kia ora, Lauren.
Just had another question come into the chat. Are the resources in the links provided and on your website? So the answer is yes, they are on the website now. If you scroll up a little further in the chat, hopefully you can see the links there. And we'll send out a following email after this session, and we'll make sure there's direct links so you can click straight in and get reading as well.
Any other feedback or questions before we finish up? Is there anything else coming through, Michelle?
Just lots of feedback about can't wait to dive in and have a proper read, or watch a bit more of the recording. Oh, someone's going to include it in their upcoming funding hui. We love to hear that.
We'd also love to hear if there's any gaps, and feel free to email us directly to, I think, to the, you're going to put an email address in the chat, aren't you, Michelle?
Oh, great. Okay, so look, if you have any further feedback, questions, gaps, or any other resources that you'd like to share wider with others, do let us know. Just email us at that address, and which Michelle has just put in the chat.
Awesome. Looks like we might be giving people a little bit of their day back.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, everyone.